Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Baker Act and why, despite what the Baker Act statute says, why are the police, when they Baker Act somebody, using handcuffs? So there is a section of the Baker Act, and I'm going to read it to you. It's section 394.459, subsection 1, so you can go look this up for yourself. 394.459, subsection 1, and I'm going to read it to you. And it's titled Right to Individual Dignity. It is the policy of this state that the individual dignity of the patient shall be respected at all times and upon all occasions, including any occasion when the patient is taken into custody, held, or transported. Procedures, facilities, vehicles, and restraining devices utilized for criminals or those accused of crime shall not be used in connection with persons who have a mental illness, except for the protection of the patient or others. So here it is. I mean, there's a specific section of the Baker Act statute that says that as a general rule, the police are not supposed to handcuff people. Now, does it happen? Yeah, it happens for the most part in almost every single case that we see. Why is that? Well, typically because the police need to make sure that they're safe, okay? And we want the police to be safe. And really, this is what this section of the statute is talking about when it says except for the protection of the patient or others. So we want to make sure the police are safe, but we also want to make sure that your loved one's safe. What happens if they start to, for lack of a better word, flip out? How are the police supposed to respond? Well, they're probably going to use a more severe use of restraint, perhaps a taser or something like that, or your loved one is, taken to the ground and physically restrained. The point is, we don't want things to get out of control. So, the statute does a good job of really directing law enforcement not to use handcuffs, but I will tell you, I see it a lot. And in the grand scheme of things, does it affect your loved one's ability to get out? Because again, we're looking for violations of the statute. Probably not. Probably not. You don't get a get out of jail free card just because the police handcuffed your loved one when perhaps it wasn't necessary or wasn't needed. And this is why I say, and will continue to say in every video I put out about the Baker Act, that the best time to fight to get your loved one out is as soon as they are detained. Okay, even if the police did it wrong, even if there was no criteria for your loved one to be detained under the Baker Act, once they are Baker Acted, nobody knows they're there. They basically fall into the big black hole of the state's draconian and broken mental health system. Now, in order for that to change, in order for us to get your loved one out, we're going to need to go to court, and which is fine, and we get great success doing that. But just remember that if you don't go to court, while your loved one might get released, if you wait long enough, and I've seen horrible things happen when people wait long enough, the facility, which is a licensed agent of the state's mental health system, even if they happen to be a private for-profit entity, they can also go to court. And they can also file to keep your loved one significantly longer than the initial 72-hour hold. And so if your loved one has been detained, my recommendation is that you don't wait. You don't wait for the facility to file. You don't wait and hope they let your loved one go, that you take action immediately. And if by some chance they actually needed to be Baker Acted, which does happen, and they do meet criteria, then let's at least get them out of the state's mental health system and into some other, a provider, right? So that you have some control, because once your loved one is Baker Acted, your rights to make decisions for them are terminated. Even if you have a healthcare proxy, they're terminated. And your loved one's ability, their right to make decisions for themselves, to determine their own healthcare, their own mental health care, those rights are terminated too. Those rights are taken by the state, and they rest entirely in the state's hands, which means the clinicians, the doctors who are in this Baker Act facility or this hospital, they now have the right to make these decisions. If you want that to end, we got to go to court, and we need to do so quickly. So that's my 2 cents. I wanted to share this with you about the handcuff situation. And if you like this video, I would love a thumbs up. And please, if you could, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.